She serves in the U.S. government. She's an actress. She's a published author, real estate investor. She's got her own podcast and her own show. She's done it all, ladies and gentlemen. Help me welcome my good friend, Catalina McGee. What's up, girl?
Woo! Do I need to introduce you too? Actually, everybody knows you already.
Yeah,
everybody knows you already.
Hey, so I know I hit all the highlights. Tell our audience real quick a little bit about you and where you're from and how you've taken Instagram and the social media by storm.
Did I? I don't know. I mean, I'm always like, I can do better on Instagram. But yeah, I was born in Romania. I started my career with modeling and acting, winning Miss Romania and being published in Vogue Italia, which led me to make an impact on the European fashion scene, starting in 2013 when I founded my magazine company, Trim Privé Magazine, which was world's first humanitarian luxury magazine, gaining recognition from International Business Standard Organization. I don't know if you heard about them. And then I collaborated with a bunch of interesting companies, the International Business Standard Organization, the Global Summit on Plant Science and Plant Physiology, the Worldwide Charter for Fair International Commerce, La Jolla International Film Festival, just to name a few. So it was really good to have a lot of partners. And then with the magazine, I led 624 team members and interns from all over the world, countries I had no idea even existed. It was crazy. We reached a lot of humanitarian goals while I did all that with the magazine. Also while serving the US government in different capacities, contributing to soldier welfare in Germany, security and community awareness with NCIS in Tel Aviv. What else did I do? The safety protocols with the U.S. Department of State as a diplomat.
I want to back up. I want to back up. So you come out of the gate. You know, you're a model, actress. Tell me about the magazine. Where'd the idea come from? What was kind of the genesis of, I'm going to start a magazine?
I was really annoyed with the fashion scene. I was always, when you go to fashion shows and you see that world there are so many flaws with the fashion world. And I was very much like, come on, we don't need to wear fur in this day and age. Let's do something about all these issues. The cruelty situation, it's a no-go. We really are in the day, we can wear fake fur. We don't have to test on animals. We can do a lot better. So I wanted to have an impact on that, just even like sustainable brands, even the fast fashion. Like, why do you need to only wear something once? That makes no sense. You're like, oh, if I put it on Instagram, then I don't need to wear it again. That's called fast fashion, and that's stupid. If you have a lot of stuff, you can donate it. You can do better. We can all do better, right? So
where do you think that comes from, Catalina?
The Western culture, the consumerism. It's just spoiled mentality, having it all, and.
How long in your modeling career and your acting career did it take you to realize I'm different than most of these people?
I think it was on day one.
Yeah.
Because when you get in there and everybody thinks they're they're actually better than everybody, and I'm out there the only humble one looking like, wow, do I have this? You're meager and stuff because you come from this communist mentality where you don't think you're good enough. Because I kind of grew up in Romania. I mean, during the communist times, since '89 we were communists, right? So they just instilled that terrible mentality where you're not good enough. And you go there and everybody's vain and they all think they're better than everybody, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's intimidating. But then at the same time you realize, actually, I'm gonna hold on to these values because I don't need to be.
Was that something that your parents instilled into you growing up as a child?
It's more like the faith. I have a lot of the whole faith base. That was my grandparents. My great-grandfather, he lived since I was 12. He lived a long life. He would say the creed every day, at least 3-4 times a day. He taught me Our Father, the creed, all these things when I was like already 3 or 4. Like I knew all these prayers. And the other things, no, I didn't really, and I don't usually talk about my upbringing because the certain things about that, because not really something I don't want to add no negativity to your podcast. But the good things that I'm going to say, yeah, I did have some good grandparents for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you get in the fashion scene, you see that there's a lot of vanity that's there, which probably why they call it Vanity Magazine, because it is a lot of vanity. And you start this magazine, and tell me about kind of the genesis of the magazine. It's the first, you said, luxury magazine for...
Yeah, first humanitarian luxury magazine. It was very interesting because like, what does that even mean? Well, we had a lot of luxury brands that were either eco-friendly, sustainable, ethical. They had all these if you were a luxury brand that wanted to be promoted with our magazine, you would have had to either be sustainable, you had to be cruelty free, you had to have this criteria in order to be promoted with our magazine. You can just,
So it's
promote
really
that
given
stuff.
an avenue to people that you felt like were doing things the right way, and
Right.
really had a heart and a consciousness towards the environment and animals and all the different
And doing
different
good.
things that
And then we would actually research the heck out of the brands too, because a lot of them, I was associated with PETA and I promoted PETA for a long time, but I actually heard that a lot of those videos that they publish, their teams are doing that to those animals. So they can actually come up with the content too. So
yeah.
yeah, you have to really do your research. The ALS, remember the Ice Bucket Challenge? Like 89% of that money didn't actually go toward the cause. It was the lady that was taking the money. Black Lives Matter, another situation.
That's exactly normally how that happens. If it's not somebody that's vetted or they don't submit themselves to some oversight, that's usually what happens in a lot of arenas. So you did the
Right.
book, and then at what age did you leave Romania and come to the States?
Well, I left Romania when I was 16. Me and my sister was 18 at the time, so I needed someone that had, the age, because I was underage. At the time, we needed the visa, we needed the things. Romania wasn't the EU at the time, but anyway. So yeah, we left. I lived in Italy for a while, and then I moved to the States. When was it? 2006 or 7? Damn, I'm not gonna tell you how old I was. Then you're gonna know how old I'm now. Shoot.
No, you're good. You're good. So you really, with the magazine launch, you really started kind of that entrepreneurial journey young. So talk to me about the entrepreneurial journey. What's some of the things that you've learned along the way? Some of the characteristics and qualities that you possess, and some of the things you might have seen in some other people that you think make a great entrepreneur.
The night before I started the magazine, I told myself, tomorrow, that's it. So what happened was, I was really pissed off with the magazine company. They had promised me a feature. I was supposed to have this cover on their magazine, and all of a sudden that night they were like, no, we had to change plans, this and that. And so I was like, okay, you're changing plans on me? All right. Okay, that's how we're gonna be. I'm gonna have my magazine, I'm gonna crush you. So the next morning, had no idea what to do, graphic design, none of those skills. I had nothing. And I just started Googling. I'm like, I'm gonna teach myself how to publish, how to do all of this, and I'm gonna use all the connections, and I'm gonna come up with groups on Facebook, and I'm gonna be resourceful as hell, and I'm gonna crush them. 3 years later, I did. But it wasn't, I guess, in a way, kind of came from a vengeance like that, I mean, it was fueled with the wrong purpose at first that night. But a week later, after all the obstacles, because you're going to run into a lot of obstacles at first, everything was wrong. But that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to change the mission of this venture here, because otherwise I can't sustain that. The whole being vindictive, that only can last 2-3 weeks of struggle, and then you need to have a solid motivator. Like you have to do it for the greater cause, a good cause, otherwise. So yeah, that's when I changed direction with the magazine, and that's, yeah.
I love that. What was next? So you're in the States. You've already tasted a little bit of entrepreneurship. What was the next thing for you then?
So actually, in the States, I was doing more modeling and acting. It was the magazine I didn't start till 2013.
Okay.
Later, so yeah, I started that in Germany, but I also started working for the government. That was one of those things that I always wanted to do more. So I worked in parallel. I worked on the magazine while also working for the government. So it's kind of like, it was rough doing both at the same time. And then in 2019, I shifted focus to government editing. So that's when I sold my magazine, because, conflict of interest, you can't have two companies that you're running, because I was the editor-in-chief of the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps Aviation Safety magazine. So I had to give up mine, which is good, because I was burned out. And I was very, very, have you watched The Devil Wears Prada?
Yeah, I just watched it a couple of weeks ago, as a matter of fact.
She was sweet. Compared to me, she was a sweetheart. I was so mean to my colleagues, to my teammates. Still to this date, I regret that so deeply. Because when you're so burned out, just take a break. But, if you don't, like, if you can't be in the position of leading because you're that burned out, step back. Don't engage in any conversations, take a break. So I kind of had to sell it. But the government thing was good. And now I'm actually with the USDA working for the Digital Infrastructure Services Center. So it's the USDA IT department and the public affairs, still in the public affairs, marketing, comms, and all that creative stuff. Yeah. It's a lot. In a nutshell, I'd say my journey includes a lot of government work, entrepreneur ventures, and a lot of passion for acting, real estate, and publishing.
So talk about the real estate, because we haven't even hit on the real estate investing side. Talk about that. How'd you get into real estate investing? What does that look like to you? Where in the world do you find the time to even do something like that?
I've always been passionate with real estate. So my great-grandparents used to be very rich, and then the communism took a lot of the land, and how they took everything from us. And my great-grandfather would always tell me, like how to invest and how to land was all about land and buying and all that. So I've always had that, but it was actually in Germany. I was living in a shithole house in Germany, and this landlady was a train wreck. And, and one day I had a fight with her, and she brought this one dude trying to be aggressive. He came to my face, and I'm like, wait, this is it. That is when I went home and I was like, that's it, I'm moving out. Nothing, I couldn't find any other tenant, any other, house to rent, place to live. So I was like, my only option is to buy in Germany. I'm not German, I'm like, how the hell? So I was like, you know what? Challenge accepted, because I love some challenges, And that was the property. I bought a multi-family property, huge compound in Germany that rented, ROI'd really well for many years. And then I was like, you know what? I can do this. And so just, started got some in Virginia. And I love that. I love that, when you can help them, the tenants have issues, and I'm out there, hustling, calling different companies, trying to help them out, put out the fire. I feel useful, and yeah, it's one of those passions I have.
I love that. What's the thing right now that you're most passionate about that you've got going on in your life?
Most passionate, oh my gosh, I would say acting. I feel like it's time. If I don't do it now, I feel like I'm going to miss out, like the train is going to be gone. Also, because the government, because my government work often focuses on safety, security, and public welfare. So I kind of like contributing to important aspects of national security and public safety. I'm directly involved, in projects that safeguard and serve the community. So that's pretty cool. I really like that.
Yeah.
I also love Materia Bikes. Is a company I'm an investor in. Like I invested in Materia Bikes because they're minority owned, they're black owned, and they're a sustainable brand, and they look sweet. Those bikes are sexy.
Yeah, they're
So-
wooden, right? I'm looking at them right now. Are they, aren't
Yeah,
they wooden?
they're wooden, and they're made in Latvia, but they also opened the headquarters in Riverside, California. We were actually taking some random photos one day in this alley in Riverside. 4 different people came. They were like, "How can we buy it?" They just people on the street. They stop to take photos of them. So I'm like, "This is yeah." So I'm really.
I remember
passionate.
when you told. I remember when you told me that the first time. You were like,
Mm-hmm.
"This is going to be an amazing investment." So,
Yeah.
you're super passionate about your real estate. Super passionate about the investing that you're doing with Materia Bikes, which they're amazing. It's go see Materia. It's Materia _ bikes BIKES, and check that out. It's one of the things that Catalina's got her hands in right now, amongst everything else.
Right.
What are you grateful for? Tell me what you're grateful for.
Oh gosh, I am grateful for a lot. There's everything. Where do I start? I'm alive. Heck, I have friends like you. I'm blessed with so many amazing people. Yeah, the list is so long. We would be here until maybe three days later. I'm still talking.
What's it? Let me ask you this question, because especially in the light of where we're at right now in the political season, what has it been like for you, being an immigrant coming into the United States and having an opportunity to be able to live and chase the American dream?
Man, the American dream that was it for me. I was a kid and I was like, man, I wonder how it is. And I would watch MTV all the time, and America was the dream. And yeah, I'm still very grateful. And every time, I look at you see all the stuff like, a lot of more and more Americans are anti-America, which is wild because
How does
they
that?
just,
When you see that, what do you think?
I'm shaking my head like, oh my gosh, the ignorance is real here. These kind of people, they need to leave one day in China or in some other crazy place.
Well, you said
maybe
you
a
said it
communist.
just a minute ago. You said when Romania started to be communist, they took your grandparents' stuff,
Yeah, they took
like
everything.
literally confiscated, just like Castro did in Cuba, like socialism and communism. They literally are going to take from, and anytime, and when you said that, this is what I was processing through. Anytime a political party pits the haves or the people that have, and that may be generational wealth, it may be people who have started companies. Anytime a party pits the people who are working hard, who are entrepreneurial and have tasted some success against the poor, and
Yeah.
go, if you elect us, we'll take from these guys who have worked really hard and we'll give it to you.
Right. They will do that. And communism is the worst form, right? Because you don't have, only the people in charge have a lot. Everybody else is equally poor. It's depressing. Who was the
Yeah.
one that, was it Roosevelt that had that amazing quote on the communism versus the capitalism? Oh, I gotta find that quote. It was so good. Roosevelt quote. Let me.
You're gonna have to look that up and give it to us.
Yes. Quote on communism. Oh gosh, that was a good one. I think I'm looking. Wasn't Roosevelt? Quote. Anyway, I'll find it. Versus.
So let me ask you something else while you're looking for that right now. What does gratitude mean to you? Like, how important is gratitude in your life on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, it's everything. You can't. Gratitude, if you don't have the gratitude, then you have no real kindness, softness in your soul. You don't, everything is deteriorating. You have, there's no positivity in your life. If you can't look at the bright side, what's the point?
I love that.
Yeah, it's, I found a quote.
Shoot.
Should get it back to that. The inherent vice of capitalism is the unequal sharing of blessings, while the inherited virtue of communism is the equal sharing of miseries. And that's actually Winston Churchill.
That's amazing.
The inherent, am I pronouncing this word correctly? Because sometimes I be jacking out words.
What was it again?
The inherent vice.
Inherent. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I said it correctly.
That
Good.
is correct. Well, shoot,
Yeah.
you got some questions for me?
I do have questions for you,
Let's
and
roll
I'm
with it,
so
girl.
excited. I'm telling you. Are you currently living your best life? If yes, how does that look? If not, what is missing?
100%. I'm currently living my best life. And the reason is because, I talk a lot about our core five: faith, health, relationship, business, and finances. And every time we have a mastermind once a quarter or my large Create conference, we always set what we call next 60 goals. So it's 3 goals or 4 goals in each of those core 5 areas. And really the whole premise is what can I do with focused, intense effort for 60 days? And how can I use the next 60 days to become the best version of myself in those core 5 areas?
I like that. Okay. Oh, this is what you taught at your course, right? At your mastermind?
Mastermind.
When is the next one that I missed?
November the 6th through the 10th, we're going to be in Sundance, Utah. And if you've not been to Sundance, Utah in November, it is stunning.
Really?
Sundance is where they do the film festival. It's right outside of Salt Lake City, about an hour from the airport. And it is absolutely beautiful.
I lived in Ogden,
Are you
Utah.
coming, Catalina?
Well, it's close, so hopefully November. Okay. But don't we have the RISC-On at about the same?
That's
is that
after.
it?
RISC-On's after. It's like a week or 2 after.
Okay, maybe. Hopefully, God willing, I can make it, because I don't want to miss another one. I know I had to travel. Yeah. What's the one mistake you made that taught you a valuable life lesson?
The one mistake I've made that taught me a valuable life lesson was not believing and trusting in myself. Not believing and trusting in what God had given me, like the giftings and the callings and all of the stuff that God had given me, probably not trusting that and stepping out fast enough or risking enough, I would say is probably the biggest mistake I've ever made.
Interesting. Wow. And how do you get to why do you think you didn't believe that? And how do you get to the moment of believing in that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is in believing in yourself, or maybe not believing in yourself, comes from how you were raised as a child. I mean, literally my childhood was very traumatic. I went to 12 schools in 12 years. I went to 6 different high schools, moved back and forth from my dad's in the Pontiac, Michigan area to my mom's in the Atlanta area 6 different times from my 6th grade year to my senior year of high school. And it was just, which is in some ways hard, but in some ways good. In the good ways, I mean, Catalina, you see me, I can walk in a room. I don't care how many people are in the room. I can make friends with people in that room. Like I never meet a stranger. And that came from my ability to adapt at all of the different schools, all the different teachers, all the different relationships, all the different friends. I have friends all over the country now because I traveled and moved around so much as a high school kid.
So it came with, you think sometimes trauma, sometimes certain things like that are all, you think they're all for a reason? Not sometimes, let me take the sometimes out of it. So you think these bad things are for a reason? They happen for a purpose?
Let me say it. Do I think bad things happen for a reason? Let me say this. Romans 8:28 says all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. All things. Now, when you lump all things in there, guess what you put in there? All. Good, the bad, the hard, the difficult, the fantastic, the amazing, like all that stuff is lumped together. So does it happen intentionally or on purpose? It's just, you've seen my weight loss journey. I've dropped right at 100 pounds in over 4 years. And there's times when you go to the gym, you don't really feel like doing it, and it's hard. I mean, you're constantly pushing weight, and you're on the Peloton, and you're doing an F45 class, or you're doing an Orange Theory class. Like, those things are hard. But as you meet resistance, it causes you to become stronger. So I think that's the number one thing. I think that's the biggest thing that's helped me.
So tough times will help you get more resilient. Can you share a lesson on resilience or perseverance that has guided you in tough times?
So resilience and perseverance. I remember one time we hopped on a Zoom call. It was the mentorship group with my good friend Grant Cardone. About 1,000, 1,200 people on this call. With that call, Grant gave us homework. And he said, him and Elena were sitting together, and we're on this huge, I don't even know if it's Zoom, whatever platform, 1,200 people. And he goes, the homework I'm going to give you this week is this. I want you to ask 5 people to describe you in one sentence. And I was like, so I text Grant and Jared, and I said, hey, I've got a question. So they put me on the screen. He's like, hey, preacher, what you got? And I said, hey, G, this guy named Grant Cardone gave me some homework this week. And I'm supposed to ask 5 people to describe me in one sentence. And since you and Elena are sitting there side by side, would you be my first 2 people? And he kind of laughed for just a minute, and then he stopped. And this is what he said. He goes, Ken, you always show up. Every time I'm at my event, you're sitting on the front row. Every time I look online, you're doing something. Every time I get on Instagram, you're on Instagram. Like, every time I look up, I see Ken Joslin. Rewind probably 2 years before that, December the 9th, 2019, there were 12 of the original over 1,000 in the very first mentorship group Grant Cardone ever did. There were 12 of us that got invited to go to Miami. I was the one that was asked to speak to the entire team that day. About 175 to 180 people on his team at 10X. Spoke to the whole team. Then I spoke to his senior leadership team. There were 12 of us sitting in a table, kind of horseshoe kind of style. I can tell you every single person that was sitting at that table. I can tell you every single person that was sitting at that table, and I can tell you the gaps I see in what they want to do. Everybody had big dreams. Everybody had big vision. As a matter of fact, I just saw another guy who's a friend of mine just in the last 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks, who I have not seen online in probably 6 months. Haven't seen him on social media, haven't seen him online, I haven't seen him anywhere. Literally popped up and goes, hey, I'm doing a book, or hey, I'm doing a webinar, or hey, I'm doing this. And you want to talk about consistency? It goes right into my concept of incremental, not monumental. Small, daily, disciplined decisions over time always equal monumental results. Success cannot escape you when you do the right things every single day. But it is consistency. And the only way you can have consistency is by having resiliency. You cannot quit. The days when it sucks and it's the freaking hardest, you got to get up. You got to get in the gym. You got to do your morning routine. You got to get your quiet time in. You've got to do the things that you know you need to do, especially on the days when it's hard, in order to see God do anything of great magnitude or great impact or great influence in your life.
I love it. You're speaking my language.
Come on, girl.
Consistency. I am so big on that. Oh, I'm so big on that. I can't. It's such a big turnoff for me when somebody's inconsistent. Even in a relationship, you got to be consistent. And I'm going to bring out some relationship questions because your relationship content is so on point. Oh, I'm going to bring out some quotes that you said that I'm still like, I'm like so inspired. But first, I think I want to ask you, like, why ask tough questions at the beginning of a relationship? Because one of your podcasts, you mentioned that you should ask tough questions at the beginning of a relationship.
Yeah, the reason I ask tough questions in a relationship, especially at the very beginning, is to circumvent time. I don't have a ton of time. I know that God's called me to do something massive and impact and influence thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of people. And I don't have a ton of time to date. I don't have a ton of time to do all the things that maybe some people do have time. I don't have the time. So I'm going to be very direct and I'm going to be very upfront. In one of my podcasts, Catalina, this is the quote I said: "Don't let your emotions outpace your information gathering."
Yeah.
You are date to evaluate. So remember that, date to evaluate. So if you're single, you're watching this podcast or you're watching this on Instagram, date to evaluate. And when you ask questions, you're asking those questions so you can get a response to really see and figure out who that individual is. And not necessarily so you can go, oh, that's a red flag, they're not good. They may be great, they may be healthy, you may be healthy, they may just not be a fit for you. And the quicker you find that out, the sooner you can move on to find the person that God has for you.
So be intentional with your time.
Yes.
That's and so in that case, what are 3 brave questions to ask your partner at the beginning? Like the first 3 things that you think are the most important questions to ask.
So number one, the top questions I ask anybody in any kind of a dating relationship, I do this when I'm on the phone. Number one, I like to FaceTime. People laugh at me because I'm like, I want to see you in the eye. I don't want to do a phone call where I don't get to see what you look like, or because I've never been catfished online. I didn't even know what that meant. When somebody told me, have you been catfished? I'm like, dude, I ain't been catfished since I was probably 12 years old. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But the number one thing I do is I FaceTime people, number one. Number two, tell me about your faith journey. And they're like, what do you mean about my faith journey? Tell me about you and Jesus. Like, I want to know about your faith journey. That's the number one most important thing. I had a date one time, Catalina, in Salt Lake City. Very super attractive girl who set me up with another friend, set me up with her. And I actually went to dinner with her and another guy friend of mine. And so Stephen Scoggins, a lot of you guys may know Stephen was at dinner with us that night. And Stephen was asking questions about my ideal partner. He knew I had done some work with one of my therapists a couple years ago, and I had literally written out my ideal partner thing. And so I'm telling him and I'm telling her my ideal partner. Part of that was, it began with, she's a Proverbs 31 woman.
I love it.
Now, 10 minutes before that, she was like, "Oh, I love Jesus. I love the Bible. I love all this stuff." Like, she sounded great. Catalina, when I mentioned Proverbs 31 woman, she looked at me and she said, "What's that?" Immediately I knew, like, we are not on the same page. We are not in alignment. If you don't know what a Proverbs 31 woman is, either you just gave your life to Christ last week, or you have not really taken time to study and understand Scripture and understand the characteristics and the virtues of what the Bible calls a Proverbs 31 woman.
Yeah, that was it. So that's how you know. Facing, Jesus. I love it. What about if you offered everything in a partner, who would you be? Because I know you said you have a list of who you want, but are you those things?
Say that one more time.
You have a list of all of the attributes that you want in a woman, but are you those things yourself? If you offered everything in a partner, who would you be?
Yeah. I think one of the important things about identifying what your ideal partner looks like is because it literally is a mirror for you to look in. Like, if I want a Proverbs 31 woman, then I have to be a man who chases Jesus. I have to be a man, as the Bible calls about David, I have to be a man after God's own heart. If I want her to be, and I have it's written just like this. When she walks into a room, she brings her life-giving presence everywhere she goes. Every encounter she has with people leave them a better human being than they were before they met her. I mean, I have specific things. So when I write that down of what I want, it literally is a mirror for me to look and go, okay, Kim, are you these things? Are you the mirror to what you're asking God to send in your life? And if not, it gives you a great opportunity to have a bullseye for you to shoot for you to aim for, to become the best version of yourself.
Love it. That's, What about, let's talk about loneliness for a second. So have you ever felt lonely, and is it a necessary phase in someone's personal growth? How do you feel about loneliness?
Yeah, so I just had a really good friend of mine who walked through, she's like my sister, who just walked through a breakup. I was with her at a TV filming event in Dallas, Texas a few weeks ago. When she got a text message from a guy, a DM from somebody she had no idea who it was, and he goes, "I need you to call me." Well, this guy had found his wife having an affair with her fiance, and I was with her when it happened. This has been about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and she texted me yesterday. She said, "I'm on a plane, but really missing the day-to-day stability of an established relationship. All the texts, the what you can count on, et cetera, et cetera." And this is what I texted her back. I said, "The hardest thing for me was being okay with being alone. The hardest thing for me in my journey of being single, the hardest thing for me was me being okay with being alone. Whenever that emotion hits," I told her, "use the energy to focus on you and your relationship with Jesus. God, how can I become better through this process? How can I?" Because if you're a person of faith, you're never alone. Like, the Holy Spirit's always there with you. But in that journey, when you feel those emotions, and it's okay to feel the emotions. I used to tell my therapist, I don't want to feel them. Lauren would tell me, I hated it when she said this. I hated it. She would say, and Catalina, she would say, "Ken, just sit with it." Like, I don't want to sit with it. I don't want to feel that. Like, I want to move on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready. She's like, "No, you have to sit with the emotions." I'm like, I don't want to sit with the emotions. But the reality of it is, and the number one thing for me was learning to be okay with being alone.
Wow.
And just because I was alone didn't mean I wasn't cared for, loved, or cherished by the people who knew me. And it definitely didn't mean I wasn't cared for, loved, and cherished by Jesus.
Amen. Wow. Very wow.
You didn't know I had to preach on me like that, did you, girl?
Yeah, you still got it. You're on it. What are we're talking about the girl with the cheating situation. What are 10 signs a woman is cheating, pursuing other men, or moving on?
Oh, I don't know if I can give you 10.
Okay. I can give you 10 for a man, but yeah.
I can give you a couple.
Okay.
If I'm in a committed relationship with my partner, she has access to everything I have. Here's my code to my phone. Here's a code to my computer. You can look at
Bank
anything you
account?
want. I mean, she don't need my money, not yet at least. But there's no secrets. Like, any communication that I have, if I've got an iPad or a MacBook or an iPhone, which I have sitting on the desk right here, if I have those things, you have access to that. Like, here's the password, 271010. It's going to be on every podcast.
That's not it, you guys. That's not it. That's not the password. You better change your shoe.
But anyway, that's my password. You go on there, you can look at any text message, you can go on any social media platform, you can look at any DM, you look at anything you want to look at. If I'm in a committed relationship with somebody, there is no secret. So I would say number one, it's funny you said this, because this 5 days ago marked a year that I had moved to California to be with a woman that I loved more than any woman I've ever loved in my life. We dated for a year and a half. We didn't talk for a year. She called me June the 3rd of last year. And within 2.5 weeks, Catalina, I told her, I said, "Listen, I love you, and I'm not doing long distance anymore." I said, "We're going to date for about 2 months to see if you've walked through some of the things that I've walked through in getting healed. And if you have, I'm not having a relationship with you long distance. I'm going to move to California." So I moved to California. 5 weeks later, I caught her in bed with her ex-boyfriend. Came home from a trip early and caught her in bed with her ex-boyfriend.
Like,
Hindsight looking back, yeah, he was parked in my parking spot. How you like that? And
You mean like she was on top?
different kind of parking spot. Oh my God.
Oh God, this is
Cut
the
that
podcast
out.
here.
That's
We're gonna edit this.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Catalina has lost it now. She's done, ladies and gentlemen. That's so funny,
I'm
girl.
not even drunk.
I know, right? She goes, I don't even have any alcohol in me. Man, it's fun. It's fun to laugh and have fun, isn't it? But anyway,
Yeah,
long story short, we were in church one day. We were in church worshiping on a Sunday morning, and her phone lit up next to me, and I went down to look at it real quick, and she flipped her phone over really fast. And I looked at her and I went, "Who was that?" She goes, "Oh, nobody." She told me the next week, that was Sunday, Friday night, we were out to dinner in Healdsburg, wine country in Northern California. Beautiful. And she confessed and told me it was her ex-boyfriend. 5 weeks later, when they were in the bed together on a Monday morning at 10:30 a.m. on October the 2nd,
Damn.
then I looked back throughout the whole relationship and I found out that they had been communicating, seeing each other the whole time I had been in California. But that was one of the things that I knew. Like when I saw her flip that phone over, just watch how they act when they get a text message. Like I don't try to flip my phone over or hide it. I don't have anything to hide. There's nothing to hide. So I would say
Dang.
those are a couple things there.
I am sorry. You went through some stuff.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Let's lighten up the mood a little bit. It's starting to go south here.
Wow, which parking spot are you talking about?
Right? Whoa. This is like, let me change it up a little bit. You know, I'm always like 100. Like, I'm very real. I'm very brutally honest. We're going to have fun. Let's forget about negativity. One or the other game. Here's what we got.
Come on, let's go.
Sex before marriage or after?
So I'm going to tell you how I answered this from my friend Marie Costco. We got in the car, and she asked me the same. In front of a woman I didn't know. I didn't even know the woman. We were shooting her TV show in Dallas, Texas. Marie, I think she was taking me back to the hotel where we were all going out to eat dinner or something. But there's a woman in the front seat. I have no idea who she is. I'd never met her before. And she goes, okay. She goes, sex before marriage or sex after or in a committed relationship? And I said, are you asking Ken or are you asking Pastor Ken? Because
Okay.
Pastor Ken would tell you, because I pastored for 12 years, Pastor Ken would tell you no, because you're not in alignment with what God has for you, and it's not God's best for your relationship. Like if you want to do it God's way, no, 100% no. Because God, or, we talk about marriage and they talk about, gay marriage or homosexual marriage. Listen, I don't have any issue with somebody else and what they want to do with another person. Guy, girl, whatever that looks like. But marriage is a biblical term. And in the Bible, the definition of marriage is a man and a wife. And I heard Priscilla Shirer share it this way one time, and I thought this was brilliant. When she talked about sex outside of marriage, she said this. She said, fire in my fireplace is beautiful. It's warm. It's calming. It's peaceful. Like it has all these amazing attributes. Fire in my living room floor will kill my entire family. She goes, the fire is great as long as it's in the confines of what it's supposed to be in. But when you start playing with fire outside of what God says, these are the parameters in which you can have fire, what happens is it starts destroying people's lives. So Pastor Ken and Ken would have two different answers for you there.
Wow. That is fire. That was a fire answer. Wow. Huh. Food for thought, you guys. Food for thought right there. What about a woman with a child or one without? If you had the option, you had to choose.
For me, at this stage of my life, I've become very choosy. So it really depends on how old they are. Like I don't.
That doesn't sound
mind.
choosy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I dated a girl that I liked a lot, but she's got a 10-year-old and 7-year-old twins. And I'm like, the conversation I had, I was like, I'm 56. I just turned 56 3 weeks ago. I'm going to be 66 years old when they graduate high school. Like, what God's called me to do and the purpose he's given me and the impact and the influence that I get to make, I don't have 10 years to raise other kids. I mean, my daughters are 28 years old down to 16. I have 4 of them, 28, 25, 21, and 16. And so I'm pretty much through raising children. And so I just don't have time to go back in and raise kids again. Just because of the season of my life. I'd be a great dad. If I fathered a kid right now, I'd be a better dad than probably I ever was before because of everything I've learned.
Right. You just don't have the bandwidth for it. Choosing a partner who is your opposite or someone who is identical to you in personality and interest.
Well, you say you've heard opposites attract, and opposites do attract. And I think for me, I want someone to do what I'm doing with me. I want somebody to build what I've built this in 4.5 years to a 7-figure company, entrepreneurship conference, the #1 faith-based entrepreneur conference in America, with friends like John Maxwell, Ed Mylett, Brendan Bouchard, Gary Brecka, Erwin McManus, Vic Keller, Marie Cosgrove, Amberly Lago, Amy Lacey. I mean, I could go on, Anthony Trucks, Carlos Reyes. I could go on and on and on down the line of the friends that I get to do this with. But really, my heart is, and I put this in my ideal partner list, Catalina, I want someone to build this with me. I want someone to stand on the stage with me. So there are going to have to be some giftings that are very similar. Doesn't mean all the giftings have to be similar, but I want somebody that has the same passion to have impact and influence through what I'm doing in our community.
Sounds like more similar than the opposite.
Yeah.
A mysterious woman or a goofball?
How about a goofball until about 8:30 p.m. and then she gets mysterious? Come on, girl. How's that for an answer?
Yeah. You want it all.
Yeah, yes, I do. I don't just want it, I expect it.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not playing around. She needs a lot of attention or she needs a lot of personal space.
I mean, my affirmations. My love languages is words of affirmation and physical touch. So we always like to give what we like to receive. So it would have to be somebody that likes attention, that wants to be together all the time. Because one of the things I put in my ideal partner list is I want somebody to go to the gym with me in the morning. I want somebody, if we want to get up and make love in the morning, and then 4 a.m. Yeah. We want somebody that wants to, make love in the morning, go to the gym, get up, do breakfast, I want to do life with somebody. Like, not necessarily, okay, hey, you go do your career, I'll see you in 10 hours. Like, it's not really what I want. It's not what I'm looking for.
Man, I don't know about the part with the 4 a.m. That's going to be hard, Ken. Yeah, now I get to my favorite part, where it's I quote you section. Women, this is so good. Oh, you guys, check this out. This is Ken right here. Women need to feel loved in order to want to have sex. True. And yeah. Men feel loved when they have sex. Dang. It's wild how different our perceptions are, right? Like who decides whose perception is more important or takes priority?
I mean, I think the biblical role of a man is the lead. So the biblical perspective of a man leading a relationship is he's going to yield to his partner.
Okay.
Because it should not be about him. Like even in sex, like it should not be about him. It should be about her. It really, in a very healthy relationship, it should be about each other. It shouldn't be about him. It should be about the partner that God's put him with, the wife that God's put him with, so that he can, and for not just the physical sexual part, but just for the intimacy part, so they can connect. And so again, women need to feel loved in order to have sex. So how do women feel loved? Depends on what their love language is. It could be cleaning the kitchen. It could be doing laundry. It could be washing her car. It could be making sure the grass is cut. It could be paying the bills. It could be taking care of the 4 kids so she can go get a pedicure on Thursday afternoon. Whatever that looks like. Like as a man, our responsibility is to make her feel loved, protected, safe. When a woman feels loved, protected, and safe, because guys go, oh, my wife doesn't like to have sex enough. Listen, I've never had that issue, and ever had that issue. Why? Because when she feels protected, loved, and safe, she wants to be intimate with you because you've given her the number one thing that she needs on the inside for her to be able to open up to you as a man so that you can be truly intimate.
Nailed it. Okay, that answered. This is a reel on its own. This reel is going to be viral. This is another amazing quote. If you're on this intentional pursuit to find someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with, you cannot let your feelings outpace the information that you are gathering. I think we actually talked about this.
We did, yeah.
Didn't we? Oh my gosh. Yeah, we did. We already covered this. This is wild. Yeah. Then, would you rather, let me ask you some would you rather questions. Would you rather have the ability to mentor a young entrepreneur to become a hugely successful leader or close another record-breaking $250 million real estate deal?
No, it's definitely the first thing. I just had this conversation today with a good friend of mine, Eric, and Nate, who's my best friend that worked for John Maxwell for a long time. I just had this conversation on a Zoom call about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Eric he owns his own private equity hedge fund, funds all the top golf builds over in Europe. Was on a call yesterday with him, the CFO, the CEO for Top Golf Europe. They're actually doing a $39 million fundraise for a location in Germany.
Nice.
And I told Eric today that part of my passion, and I realized this because, when I'm at Create, and I named off all the names of the people that come to my conference and speak. A lot of those guys are really good friends of mine. I get as much fulfillment sitting there, watching my friends, and then the impact they make in the hundreds of entrepreneurs that's in our room. I get as much fulfillment watching them as I do myself. So it's definitely 100%. Let me find some young guy or some young girl or some a group of entrepreneurs. Let me help them do something they never thought was possible.
Wow. Dang, more than 250 million?
Yeah, it's just real estate.
Yeah, and I believe you because you're very honest. Like, there's one thing I know about you. You're a very honest person. So, one of the things I do for the government, it's the skill, it's to read people. I got you. You can't convince me otherwise. Would you rather give a keynote speech on the biggest lessons learned in real estate in front of 10,000 attendees or lead a small intimate mastermind retreat with 10 handpicked aspiring real estate moguls?
The small group. Yeah, I think that, that's almost a toss-up. That's almost a toss-up because I don't ever leave a room where I speak. I've been on stage in front of about 8,000 or 9,000 before. It's the largest crowd that I've done. I don't know that even in that, you're going to make some impact. You're going to leave some impact with people because it's a transference. I'm not just giving you information. I'm sharing through the spirit that God's put in me, and that spirit goes forth and makes transformation. So, I would still probably say the 10. I would still probably say the 10. The 10 probably would have the ripple effect and influence and impact would be greater in the long run than even though the short term, the influence and the impact is going to be greater in a crowd of 10,000.
That's, the quality over quantity. These are more on the professional side, these questions I see. Would you rather go back to your first year in real estate with all the knowledge you have now, or be given a glimpse into the future of the real estate market 10 years from now?
Oh, give me the glimpse into it 10 years from now. So,
you want to do both?
Yeah. Show me. Yep.
Yeah. Would you rather have a best-selling book on leadership and growth, or or host a top-rated podcast where you interview the most influential figures in your industry. I think you already have that.
Both. I'd like to do both.
Did you write a book or did I dream? I thought you did, didn't you?
It's right here. It's called As the
need
Leader
it.
Grows.
Oh gosh, yes. I need to buy this book. Tell me about it.
It's on Amazon. Well, I mentioned just a while ago the stage I was on, about 8,000 or 9,000 people. This book that I wrote about 2 years ago, 2.5 years, 3 years ago, came out of a conversation I had the following day with a mentor who actually spoke behind me. John Maxwell spoke, then me, then her. And we had lunch the next day, and she said, Ken, do you want to be significant or do you want to be successful? Because they're two vastly different things. And it started the journey for me because I was 30, I don't know, 31, 32. And I thought I hung the moon. Man, I'm on stage, I'm the guy. And I thought I was the man. And she let me know real quick that significant people build others around them so those people can win. Understanding my favorite Zig Ziglar quote that if I help enough people get what they want, eventually I'll get what I want. Where people who chase success use the people around them, and they always leave a trail of damage behind them.
Yeah. And that doesn't have a long, that's not a long road to success. That's very quick. That ends quickly.
Not at all.
Yeah. Wow. That's, you have so much wisdom, Ken. But you keep looking at that watch. I feel like I need to hurry up.
No, I'm not even looking. I play with it all the time.
Okay. Like, you kind of make me wonder, like, is that Philippe Patek? I'm trying to be like, well, why is he keep messing with that watch?
It's a Breitling.
Okay. Nice style. Yeah. Would you rather spend a year traveling the world to learn about international real estate markets and cultures, or stay in your current focus, your current local, like you focus on what you do now domestically?
I mean, outside of real estate, if I do GSD and do what I'm doing right now with faith-based entrepreneurs, or go travel the world, I'm going to do what I'm doing now. I would love to travel the world one day, but right now I would love to travel the world and go after faith-based entrepreneurs around the world. Yes. But I love doing what I'm doing right now.
So you're more, the most passionate thing you're about is the podcast, or what is the one thing that you're most passionate about?
I host the #1 faith-based entrepreneur conference in the country. So we do that with several hundred. This year we'll have 500 to 600 people there. And then our masterminds, we just had 72 people in Atlanta 2 weeks ago for our mastermind. And so, I get to pastor very high performing faith-based entrepreneurs. And
Amazing.
So would I rather travel the world or do what I'm doing right now? I'm going to do what I'm doing right now because I get to make the impact and the influence that I know will have the ripple effect around the world.
Oh, I love that. Very nice. And do you still do real estate? Because I kept asking you all kinds of real estate questions, but I'm like, wait.
I don't do a lot of real estate. I've got a guy who runs the team. I have 44 agents under me at EXP. So yeah, but I don't really do a lot of real estate. I haven't closed a personal deal in several years.
Oh, okay. So you're more on the coaching. Can people hire you to be a coach?
They can.
Nice. How do they go about that? Just DM you?
DM me or go to growstackdrive.com and check out our website. We've got our collective, which is our entry level. That's online courses, online Zoom calls. We do that 2 times a week. And then obviously we've got our conference that we do in January, and then our mastermind. Our mastermind is kind of our upper tier of being able to work with me one-on-one and really journey with me for a year. It's a 12-month commitment, and it will transform your life in 12 months. I can guarantee you that.
I think so, because it transformed me. It's only been an hour. Shoot. Well, Ken, yes. I guess those are all my questions. I know I don't want to hold you up. You're a very busy guy, very intentional about your time. I'm so appreciative of the amazing wisdom you dropped here. This is awesome. Like, we did a duo type thing here.
We did.
Yeah, and I'm so excited to see you in November. Hopefully I'll see you in Utah as well, but you're coming to Vegas though, right? At the RISCON, and I'm here to promote RISCON.